I think I've just been mugged, and I've mentioned this before in the past, but the prices in Hughes Grey for stuff that we use all the time is ridiculous. Now, I've just bought 2 bags of plaster, and with my account in there, I was expecting about 12 quid a bag. I was expecting about 24 quid. Because there's not a Wix that's like within earshot really, so you know, when you need a bag quickly, you go into Hughes Grey. So I've just gone in there and been produced with that. Can you see that there? £28 and a penny for 2 bags of plaster. That is a piss take, that really is. I've got to stop using them for things like that. I mean, I'm an account customer. Does that get me anything special? I mean, if that's getting me that, what would it cost the average Joe to walk in off the street and get a bag? I'm sure 2 weeks ago, that would have been 24 quid. So that's another 4 quid on top of the usual bill. Anyway, enough moaning. I'm going in Tesco's. Just got mugged in Tesco's too. But at least I was expecting that one. Wasn't no Robin Hood hiding behind a tree in there. Welcome back everybody. It's now Thursday morning, and for those that have been following the channel, I was working at the barber's last night till about 9:15, so it wasn't too bad. But anyway, here I am today, another little job, and this isn't as bad as I thought. I just got sent a couple of photos of this one, and you can never really gauge sizes of things from photos, and lucky enough I was pleasantly surprised when I turned up today. It's not a lot of work at all, so I'll spin you around and I'll show you that. So what we've got, so we're coming out into this hallway. All we've got is, we've got a little bit of wall there, down there, and then across there, the main wall there, which is only a couple of metres long. And then I've started PVAing up here, that's why it looks different colour. And then this little bulkhead, this little bit of wall here, and that there, just up to this rail, because the customer stopped stripping the paper from there because he needed an end point. The walls are very dusty, very dry. The customer scraped paper off, but he's really you know, gone into the plaster, so he's brought up a lot of dust. So first we're going to do is, what I've done is just give it a light brush off over there and then PVA. So I'm just going to give these a bit of a brush off as well. There's too much dust just to go straight on with PVA, so I just want to give it a bit of a sweep off really. And then PVA in there, obviously you could use whatever you wanted, but I had PVA. Water that down a bit for that first one just to get it really soaking in, and always 2 coats, sometimes 3. I might even, you know, there might even be warrant a 3rd coat on there because it's really dry. So these walls are ever so dusty. Let's open this door up, let this dust go through. Now for those of you that have just joined the channel, and I know I've had quite a few subscribers lately, I think it's come through me doing hashtags of sort of like handyman and odd job man, and I think I've got quite a few of you joined for that reason. So what I am is, I am a plasterer by trade, that's what I am. But obviously I also do other things as well, but most of it is decorating, because, oh, I've got to break his front door and fix that in a minute. But most of it is decorating, because it sort of goes hand in hand with the plastering. So obviously decorator and plasterer, but I will have a go at almost anything. You know, I'm not bad with a bit of woodwork and a few other things. So that's what I am. So this, where you see me now, this is my natural state, using, you know, plaster. This is where I sit comfortably. So that wall's had a good sweep, and now I'm just PVAing everything. I've returned to the classics today. Look, bottle of Vimto made last night, put in the freezer. It's got a nice big block of ice in it now. That's the proper way to do it. PVA's all on, that's all dry and ready to go. Angle beads are cut, and 9 times out of 10, when it comes to sticking angle beads, I like to set them in the material. I don't really pin them or staple them or anything like that. Every now and then I may do if I feel it warrants it. But generally, you know, it's a few blobs of plaster on the corner and then set the bead in, really. I've never ever had an issue with that. I've never had a bead come off. I've never had a callback for anything. That's always been my method. That's how I was taught, and that's what I do. So even the knocking up is easy on this job. Look, got my little lead there. Mixer there. Bucket's ready. Getting rid of all those half bags on the van that lay about. got another one there ready to go. Hose pipe right there, and the van there, look. Now, as soon as I started putting this wall on, I could feel it was just pulling in. It was just not going to let me have any time to myself, this wall, so I just chucked it on very randomly. It's quite an awkward wall because there were 4 screws sticking out where the radiator had been taken off, obviously where they want the brackets to go back in. And then on that sort of top right hand side there was 2 screws sticking out where he had the pictures to go back up. I had the light switch and the plug socket. You couldn't really get any movement on the trail without stopping and starting. It was a very awkward little wall really, and I think I had to put 3 coats on this because I had to keep putting plaster on until it was slowing down, because even 2 coats it wasn't no good, so I think I did actually chuck a 3rd one on. It was a real little pig really. It was no fun at all, that wall. What I thought was going to be a lovely little job was a bit of an arsehole. So you never know, you know, it doesn't matter how many years you've been doing it, you never know. But what had happened was, where he'd scraped all the paint off them walls, he'd gone back to the plaster. It just caused like suction city. He really had done. So I think what I did with the next lot, I give it another load of PVA before I attempted the next lot, and that seemed to hold it back a bit. So if in doubt, 3 coats of PVA. I thought I was going to have a trouble with that. You know, sometimes you can just feel it. But I thought, no, I'll be all right. It's only a little wall. Caught me out though, that's for sure. Right, I'm not ashamed to say that this wall nearly beat me. It's only a small wall. It's a bit awkward. You've got a few screws to go around with the radiator brackets and things like that. You've got 2 plug sockets. But as soon as I put it on, as soon as I started spreading that, it just started pulling in very quickly. So it was get a first one on really quick, then flatten that off and get a second one on really quick again, and then the second one started pulling in. So then I needed to get a 3rd one on. So I've quickly chucked a thin 3rd one on. That's pulling in quick. I flattened it in, and now I'm already on the Superflex, giving it a final polish, and my stuff is still workable. So that's how quick it's going off on that wall. I think we should charge. I think there should be a schedule of rates for every time someone leaves a screw in the wall and they want you to plaster on them screws. It's what should we say, 25 quid a screw. It's 100 quid a radiator to plaster around, rather than just take these screws off and let us get to the whole wall. It's really awkward. You can't get a clean sweep on your trowel. The wall's never going to come out as good. So what do you reckon? 25 quid a screw. I think that's fair. Just giving this another PVA. Basically what's happened is, I don't know how on earth this has been stripped, but you can see the texture I'm left with. I think it had paint on it. And the customer today said, before he went to work, he said he'd spent hours and hours getting rid of every drop of paint, which you don't need to. You know, it would have been better off leaving the paint on there to give me a bit of a surface to create less suction. So it probably would have been right if I'd just turned up and done the usual, you know, get rid of the scrapey bits, give it a seal over and skim. Because it's got nothing on it and it's created this texture, I mean, it's basically caused carnage really. That's why I'm getting that suction so quick. It's nothing to do with the heat outside. But anyway, I'm going to mix up enough now and just try and chuck these last bits on. Hopefully they don't go as quick really. It shouldn't do. It's had the 3rd coat of PVA, so hopefully that'll hold back a little bit longer. What a poxy job this has been. In and outs and quick drying times, and getting here now, just literally having a bit of a final polish up, bit of a clean down, wipe the scratings down, wipe the doors down, whatever. This wall is almost drying, you can see, it's really going quick. And then that bit up there is all drying. They go on thinner anyway, them little bits. You can't really put as much on them little bits, I don't think, anyway. Down this little corner bit, I think the customer's quite obsessed with this little return. He mentioned it twice, so I'm just making sure it's all good. Good in the hood. Got all the little boys and girls out for that today. Look, you just don't know what you're going to need and what time you're going to need it. So they've all come in, or out of that box that's out there. Got a little box there with a lid on it. Another one off the list, another customer off my back. Right, I'll have a clear up and a polish up and then I'll speak to you in a minute. Jesus, that is hot today. It says 39 in the front of my van today. And it feels like it. It feels like it's hotter than any other day that we've had like this, to be honest. It's going to be a hot one again today, everyone. I'm doing some spraying hopefully today. I'm going to test this out as a sprayer. For those of you that watched the video where I was using this compressor for thin coat silicone, I've now got my little gun and I'm going to be trying to spray some wood stain, but not that. That's going to go on by hand because that's a bit too expensive to start wasting with overspray. So I'm going to pick up some darker stain for the roof on this little gazebo. What I'm going to spray, and I tested this out last night with water and it seemed pretty good. So we'll give all this a test today. Right, I'll see you at the job. So this was today's job, just to tidy this little sort of bandstand gazebo thing up. Going to give it all a good rub down and a scrape down, and then it's going to have an Osmo oil on top, and the little roof shingles are going to be sprayed with like a walnut stain. So let's get on and do that. Fair bit of work, but I think I can do it in a day. That's the plan. I don't want to be here for 2 days on a trot. So there was quite a bit of like sap or resin or whatever coming out of these fence posts. So instead of just sanding them, I'm going to scrape them off first with this little scraper. Because if you just go straight on with a sander, you're just going to clog your pad up. So you really want to get as much of this off first, just to give yourself half a chance in. Just going to pop home quickly now. I'm going to pick up my jet washer and give all the bottoms a jet wash. It's quite a bit of algae and green down the bottom there, and obviously I don't want to be oiling on top of that. But trying to get it off with a bit of sandpaper, it's just going to take too long, and it's going to dry so quick once I've jet washed it that I'm just going to give it a quick blast over, clean it all down, and that way I can get all them horrible cobwebs out without keep trying to get it with a brush. It's going to take so long to get in and out with the sandpaper between them spindles. I might as well just quickly go and get my jet wash. And in this heat as well, that's going to be so dry so quick. By the time I've oiled the tops, all the bottoms are going to be dry anyway. So let's go and do that. Let's get a bit of cold water on the go, shall we? It is mighty hot in that garden. I'm going to try that compressor now with the little sprayer, like a car sprayer thing really. I tested it out at home last night. I didn't have much time last night. So I tested it out with some water in it. All seems to be okay. So I'm going to test it out now with a bit of this walnut wood stain in it. It's only water-based stuff. But the compressor's great, it doesn't make a lot of noise, it just fills itself up, sits there quietly again. But even when it's filling itself up, it's just a very low hum. It's not even as loud as that dust extractor was. So we'll fill the cup up and then we'll give it a little test on them sort of roof, what do you call it, like shingles, aren't they really? We'll give it a test on that and see if it's any good. Fingers crossed, this will be the new way forward. Well, what can I say? That was the most easy spraying experience I've ever had. That was so simple. I haven't even used 750 millilitres of that tin. And I know it wasn't putting on probably a protective enough coating, but all he wanted was a bit of a colour, you know, just to make it look new again. It was brilliant. Why haven't I ever got into this before? It was so easy. The compressor runs quiet. It's a 20-metre hose. That gun is so nice to use with a little 2-finger grip. The cup on top is fantastic and it atomises the paint really well because it's a very fine layer. It isn't chucking it on like a quick shot would. And if I'm honest, when it comes to woodwork and things, I think I'm not going to speak too soon because I've only just started using it, but I think that's better than the quick shot. It's so much more controlled. You've got no hose to flush out. You just empty that cup, give it a rinse out, put it back on the gun, a little bit of water, spray it through, and I'm just going to literally take the end off the gum and give that a clean out. So while you're spraying, you've got nothing to worry about leaking at the other end because obviously all the paint's in your hand and it's very light and it's very manoeuvrable. And for the price of it, it's just a brilliant setup. When you consider that was about 220 quid for the compressor that came with a hose and another hopper attachment for the silicone render. And then I bought that little draper kit for about 35 quid. So all in all, for about 250 quid, it seems to be a really nice spraying setup then. And I love the fact that that compressor just runs really quietly. I've got to put a little bit of PTFE tape around the joints because I've got a little bit of air bleeding out of them, which is nothing. I've just run out. I've got nothing in the van here. So at the minute, I'm really chuffed and excited about like potentially using that for spraying. So I've actually got a UPVC front door to spray next week. So I'll bring my normal sprayer, but I'll bring that as well because I want to use that. And what I like about it is that because it atomises the paint so finely, you can build up some lovely layers instead of just hitting it once with a big layer and then potentially having a run in it. I think just, you know, over the course of a few layers, because it's going to dry so quick as well because it's so fine. So you can go over your door and probably go back again and then back again. And that way you're going to build up, hopefully, a bit like a car, you know, you're going to build up a lovely fine layer, maybe with a little bit of rub down in between. So yeah, stick with me and then I'll show you this compressor as we go. But at the minute, I'm really like optimistic that it could be like the best thing for spraying detailed work. And also, there was barely any overspray. I mean that garden, I've got white porcelain tiles underneath me. I've got just like an off-white, very light green garden furniture underneath me. White UPVC windows everywhere, and there was nothing. I was hardly getting anything. I could smell it a bit, but I was getting no bounce back. Look, you can see I've not got a drop of it on me, and I've just sprayed that whole roof. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. Right, this is all dry now, so we're nearly ready for the Osmo oil. So I'm just literally going over it quickly, just to get any little fluffy bits sort of pop back up after it's been jet washed. Just knocking everything back down again, very lightly, nothing major. And then we'll get the Osmo out and see how it performs on this lot. And I'm going to be putting the Osmo on with this mini. So a tiny little ideal wall and ceiling, but once they're full up with oil, it should go a long way really. So they're only small, these rollers. They're sort of half the size. I think they're 2 inch. So I'm going to put my oil in there and we'll go on with this, and hopefully I can really get across it quickly. So that's all had a coat of oil now, so I'm going to leave that to pick up. And then I said if I've got time, I'll get these planters done as well. So I'm going to give them a jet wash now. I'm not going to piss about sanding them, I'll just jet wash them off. And that is it from me this week. I've got some other bits and pieces to do at the weekend. I may film some of them. Got a couple of little bits to squeeze in. And then also on Saturday night, I'm DJing Saturday night, right when England are playing. I've got a double 70th birthday party to DJ. Me and two mates do it. But they've got screens set up, so I don't know what sort of party that's going to be, because everyone's going to be wanting to watch the football rather than dancing to the old slop that we're playing. So I might even just film a bit of that just to show you next week or something like that. But anyway, thanks everyone for watching this week. Thanks for all your input, your subscriptions and things like that. It means a lot. I hope you've enjoyed it, and have a great weekend, and fingers crossed for the football again. Anyway, take care everyone, see you soon.